Over the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a guide on choosing the right content marketing tactics for your business. And really, it's based on 3 factors. So I'm going to walk you through those factors, as well as give you several examples of which content marketing tactics work best in different scenarios. Hi, my name is Candice Davis-Blackman, and I'm a content marketing strategist. I help experienced service-based business owners develop their content marketing strategy and their content systems so that they can produce strategic, consistent content. My approach is based in biblical wisdom and sound marketing principles. So keep watching. Now, there is just no way that you can implement all the content marketing tactics out there. And I know that you scroll through YouTube and Instagram and even TikTok, and you get advice from different marketers, and many of them pulling you in different directions. And so you end up stalling out. You don't move forward. And that's because without even knowing it, you have become double-minded. You start holding on to contradictory beliefs without even realizing it. Let me explain. So you might hear a marketer talk about chasing followers is vanity. So then you believe that wanting more followers is unfruitful for your business. It's vanity. It's not going to help you. But then you hear another marketer talking about growing your following, and then you believe that it's absolutely necessary to grow your following in order to have social proof to attract clients. Well, let me give you another example. You hear marketers talking that trying to go viral brings unwanted attention. It brings people who are outside of your audience. It doesn't help your business. But then you hear other marketers teaching you on how to go viral, and you believe that it's necessary in order to attract the attention that you need. So you see, you start holding on to contradictory beliefs without even knowing it, and then you become double-minded. But you know what the Bible says? A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. As long as you continue to hold on to these opposing beliefs, you're not going to go anywhere. You're always going to be in two minds, and you're going to be very unproductive. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but I am here to tell you that you need to settle in your mind what you do believe and what you're going to move forward with, all right, regardless of what other people think. And personally, for me, I tend to lean on the promptings of the Holy Spirit. And I also like to take advice from people who are already doing what I want to do, as well as people who conduct themselves in ways that I think are consistent with my values, my beliefs, and my standards. And so in your case, you're going to have to decide for yourself who are those voices you're going to listen to. Now, generally speaking, choosing the right content marketing tactics for your business really boils down to 3 factors. It's best practices in content marketing. It's the marketing goals that you have set for your business, and it's also the amount of resources that you have access to. And when I say resources, I mean things like your time, your skill sets, the money that you have, the tools that you have access to, or even the people that you depend on to help you execute your content marketing. So in a sense, really, choosing the right content marketing tactics for your business is really a strategy thing. From all the options that are available to you, you have to choose those content marketing tactics that are going to get you to where you want to be, but also leveraging all the resources that you have in a way that's also consistent with best practices in content marketing. Now, as far as best practices, I'm going to tell you off the bat that it's a really good idea to have a mix of different types of content. And by that, I mean, you want to have a mix of long form content, short form content, a way to promote your content, and a way to be able to reach your audience without being influenced by an algorithm. Now, in terms of long form content, you've got the big 3. You can either decide to do long form YouTube videos, you can get into podcasting, or you can get into blogging. Now, the key to choosing among these 3 is really to figure out what does your audience prefer and where do they usually hang out. Are they typically looking at videos to solve their problems? Or are they big readers? Or do they prefer popping on a podcast to listen to while they go about their daily activities? So having an idea of what they do is going to give you a better idea as to where your focus should be on in terms of your long form content. Now, in terms of short form content, you've got various social media platforms out there that you can produce content that will help you reach your audience very quickly. And in a sense, also promote any long form content that you are producing. Now, I am of the belief really that most of you service providers can find your audience on any social media platform. I mean, if you look at the numbers in terms of monthly active users and all these social media platforms, you're going to find some huge numbers. And I bet that you can find your audience in there. Unless your audience is a super niche and you know they tend to one platform over the other, then it's simple. You gravitate towards that platform. But in the end, sometimes you really do have to experiment to figure out which platform works best for you. So I'll give you an example. I had a client in the relationship coaching niche, and she could find her audience on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and also on TikTok. And so she tried putting out content on all these 3 channels, starting with Instagram, then LinkedIn, and then TikTok. But do you know where she's getting the most traction now? TikTok. All right. And that is only from just putting the content out there and seeing what happens. And so I want to tell you that in this game of content marketing, after you've drawn the parameters of where you want to be, oftentimes you need to experiment to figure out what's working for you. So in terms of your short form content, you can experiment on different social media platforms, putting out the same type of content and adjusting it, of course, in ways that are necessary to suit the features on each platform, and then see what happens. Whichever platform takes off for you in terms of engagement, in terms of the conversations that you're striking up and the people that you're attracting, then you have a solid idea of where you need to continue and put your focus. Now, thirdly, in your content mix, you do want to have one method of being able to promote your long form content. And that's because sometimes in doing long form content, blogging, YouTubing, podcasting, it takes some time before that content takes off and you start to attract your audience. So it's a good idea to find ways to promote that long form content. And I find that sometimes the best way to promote your long form content is actually on these platforms that prioritize short form content. So the Instagrams, the LinkedIns, the TikToks, yes, even YouTube in terms of YouTube shorts. But you can also promote your content by doing ads. And that way you move past all the barriers that you get with the organic algorithm, and you can get your content directly in front of your target audience. And you can do it 24/7 as long as you invest that money. There's no limitations in terms of the time or the shelf life of that content. And finally, in your content marketing mix, I think it is extremely important to be able to invest in a platform where you can reach your audience directly without being restricted by an algorithm. So I'm talking about platforms like email. You can email your subscribers directly without worrying about an algorithm. Or you can form groups on sites like Patreon or School or Circle. And once you've attracted people into your memberships, then you are able to promote your content directly to them organically without paying. And I think this is extremely important to have in your mix of content, because we all know that on social media, we do not own our audiences. All right, one day you can wake up and find that you don't have access to your social media account. Or you can find out that that social media platform is going away. Wink, wink. I'm talking about what happened recently with TikTok, right? I mean, some creators were crying when they realized that, wait, if TikTok is taken away, then so is my livelihood. So is my means of reaching my audience. And so you never want to be caught in a situation like that, where you put all your eggs in one basket. So I think it is so prudent for service providers to be able to communicate with their audiences, especially audiences that they've built from scratch directly, using a subscriber list or a membership list that you've grown over time. Now, there's another best practice in content marketing here that I think that you need to understand. In times past, I probably would have told you that it's best to prioritize the types of content that you feel the most comfortable producing. But today, I do not believe that 100%, and I'm going to tell you why. I believe that every service provider producing marketing content for their business needs to include their voice as part of their content marketing. And I think that using your voice is so important because the level of connection that you can forge with your audience is 10 times better when you use your voice versus just using written means of communication or graphic means of communication. Now, I'm not dismissing writing, like doing your carousels or your blogging, and I'm not dismissing producing graphics and designs. They are very helpful in augmenting your content, but using your voice is even more powerful. The Bible tells us that death and life is in the power of the tongue. This organ, one of the smallest organs in the body, has that much power, has the power to create and also the power to destroy. Well, I don't know about you, but as a smart business owner, I would do whatever I could to deploy that organ in the service of marketing my business. All right? If it has that much power, then shouldn't you be leveraging it for helping to market your business? Yes, you should. And even if your strong points are writing, let's say you love to do writing, so you do carousel content on social media platforms, or you do blogs or produce articles, that's great. But you can incorporate your voice to increase the power and momentum of your efforts. So how about voicing the things that you write and turning it into audio clips that you can send out to your subscribers? Or how about turning it into scripts for video content and having an additional format for you to deliver that content to your audience? Regardless of whether you use your face or not, I'm trying to drive home the point to you that using your voice is so very important. Your voice is for more than communicating. It is for creating. And you owe it to yourself to use that to help you market your business online, particularly in terms of the content that you produce for your business. Now let's get into the second factor, and that's your marketing goals. Now, as a service provider, it's best practice to set marketing goals for your business, okay? It's the only way to know where you're going, and it's the only way to know when you've gotten there, okay? Now, if you're in the phase where you're seeking to raise more awareness, you want to build up a larger audience, then one of the content marketing tactics that may work for you is doubling down on SEO. That's search engine optimization. And really, all that means is creating content around topics that your audience is actively searching for, but also topics that your competitors or other persons within your niche haven't quite tapped into yet. When you strike that balance, you increase the probability of your content being discovered by your target audience. Now, the crazy thing is that SEO was really a marketing strategy that we only talked about in terms of blogging or YouTubing. But now today, SEO is just as important on social media platforms. And that is because they have taken some massive steps to help your content as a creator become more discoverable by users on their platform. Because guess what? Their number one aim is to keep their users on the platform. And that only happens if their users can find the content that they are interested in. And so to leverage SEO, really all that's required is, number one, of course, creating content around topics that your audience is actively searching for, but also making sure that keywords, those terms that they are searching for, is integrated into your title hooks for your content, your headlines, in the captions and descriptions of your content, in any tags or hashtags that you have attached to your content as well. Now, if you want to get into search engine optimization as a way of building awareness for your business, you can do it manually, and it can be as simple as typing in search terms that you know your audience is familiar with and searches for in the Google search bar or even in the YouTube search bar, and then seeing what they suggest, because all those auto suggestions that pop up in the search bar are actually terms that your audience is searching for. So that's a manual way that you can go about doing SEO. But just bear in mind that if you choose topics based on manual SEO research, you're not going to have an idea of just how many people are searching for those topics. Neither are you going to know how many of your competitors are producing content around that topic. So I would advise you, if you want to double down on SEO, to invest in a keyword research tool. And there are many tools available on the market. If you do a search, you're going to come across them. These keyword research tools are going to help you generate those topics very quickly. And they're also going to give you an idea of how many people are searching for those topics monthly, as well as an idea of how competitive those keywords are. Some of them tend to give you a score, a keyword difficulty score. And if that score is high, it means a lot of your competitors are producing content around that topic. And maybe it's not so much of a good idea to prioritize those topics on platforms like YouTube, or if you want to do blogging, or even on social media. So it's going to give you a good idea of the topics that you want to focus on when you're producing content to get discovered by your audience. Another content marketing tactic that you can invest in when you're seeking to raise awareness is simply getting in front of another business owner's audience. All right. Now, this typically means finding business owners and accounts who have the same audience like you do, but they do not necessarily do the same things that you do. Now, these business owners need to have already built an audience for themselves. Now, that could be subscribers to a YouTube channel, or email subscribers, or subscribers to a blog, or followers on social media. Once this business owner has built an audience and is actively engaging with that audience, their audience is engaged. Now, you would have to reach out to them and pitch a collaboration or pitch doing an interview in order to get in front of their audience. Now, of course, when you're pitching, you have to do that strategically, okay? You have to offer them some sort of value. There must be a reason why they think it would be valuable to consider doing a collaboration with you or even interviewing you. So it takes some homework first in finding out who these business owners are, who these accounts are, and also in figuring out what's the right angle to pitch them with. Now, you can do this manually, and of course, that's going to take a time investment, all right, because you have to set aside time to look for them and figure out how to pitch them. And so if you don't have that time, what I would suggest you do is invest in hiring a virtual assistant or an admin assistant who could find those people for you and who can help you put together a pitch that makes sense. And now, a third content marketing tactic that you can leverage if you want to raise awareness for your business is running ads. Now, if you got at least $1 a day, you can run an ad on any social media platform. Now, I typically like to talk about meta ads. So those are ads that run to Facebook and Instagram and Meta's network of websites. Okay. Now, you can choose to run ads either to Facebook only or to Instagram only or both. Now, the thing is, I would advise you to run ads using Meta's Ad Manager tool. Refrain from the urge to want to boost ads, no matter how much they try to encourage you to do that. And that's because you have far more options when you use Meta's Ad Manager tool than when you just simply boost content. Now, if you're looking to raise awareness specifically, you can run something like an engagement ad campaign and then optimize that ad for engagement with the post, or you can optimize it for video views if it's a video post. And because of the way Meta works today and all their focus on machine learning and automation, running ads is becoming a lot simpler. Where most of your effort lies is really in deciding what's the subject matter of that content. What's the creative going to be? What are you going to talk about? All right. And if you're raising awareness, perhaps you want to talk about what you do, the type of services you provide, the people you have worked with, your value add, what's unique about you, or you want to introduce yourself to your audience by producing some sort of educational or informational content that immediately sets you up as a credible expert in their eyes. Now, if you have no experience with Meta advertising and you want to get help navigating that Ads Manager tool, just comment Meta in the comments below and I'll send you a link to book a call with me. Okay, now let's move on. Now, let's say you already have an audience. You've already built up a large base of subscribers or followers, but maybe you've been missing in action for some time and your audience hasn't heard from you in a while. Now, your marketing goal, of course, would be to re-engage that audience, to reactivate them. And so there are a couple content marketing tactics that would work best for you. Now, one of them would simply be to get back to creating content that would have caused that audience to come to you in the first place. All right, just get back into action. Depending on the relationship that you have had with your audience, you may want to explain to them why you've been away, as well as you may not want to explain to them why you've been away. And it all depends on the reason why you've been away, and of course, the quality of the relationship with that audience. Now, I know that we are in an age of marketing, particularly with social media marketing, where we talk a lot about the power of authenticity. And authenticity is good. You never want to put on an act for anybody. But, there's this talk about raw authenticity and people telling it all, and we have to be careful with that. Now, if you are in a situation where for whatever reason you would have been away from your audience and whatever you were dealing with is something that's still painful, that's still hurtful, something that you're still processing and trying to get through, then it's not a good idea to feel pressured to have to explain to your audience why you were away and what you were dealing with. I heard a creator once say, and I'm paraphrasing here, that it's best to share from your scars rather than your open wounds. And all that is saying is that you want to share things that you have already healed from, because you don't want a situation, like my daughter puts it, of throwing salt on an open wound. You've got to be careful with social media. Now, the people on social media are not therapists, all right? They're not there to counsel you through whatever you're going through. They're specialists for that, or they're people within your inner circle that you can trust with that information. So never feel pressured into revealing things about your personal life, about what's going on that may have caused you to step away from social media, or things that you're dealing with now that makes it difficult for you to show up on social media. Another content marketing tactic you can try if you already have an audience, but you need to reactivate and re-engage them, is offering them something for free, a free offer. And this works especially good if you're in a situation where you are pivoting. Maybe you're changing your niche, you're changing the things that you want to talk about, and you're not quite sure if the current audience that you have is still going to be interested in what you now want to talk about. So making a free offer that's related to the niche that you're in, related to the content that you now want to talk about, is a good way to get your audience to raise their hand and indicate to you whether they're interested or not. So really, all you need to think about is what that free offer will be. And I know that can be a challenge for some of you. So if you are in a position where you want to offer something for free, but you don't really know what that should be, comment offer down below and I'll send you a link to get in contact with me. Okay, and now while we're on the subject of offers, maybe your marketing goal is to sell, and you want to sell by actually building up a list of subscribers whom you can continually make paid offers to. Now, to build up that list of subscribers, you are going to need to make an offer. Now, that offer can be a free offer or it can be a paid offer. It all depends, okay? Now, I usually say that the more time or more money that people have to give up to access your offer and consume your offer, they usually turn out to be more qualified leads for your core offer, okay? So you bear that in mind. Now, your offers can span the gamut of checklists, cheat sheets, audits, all the way up to multi-day challenges or live events. There are different categories of offers that you can make to your audience to build up your list of contacts, to build up your email subscribers, which then allows you to continue to make paid offers to them over time. Now, I will tell you this. One of the important things you need to know about coming up with an offer to build your contact list or your email list is that you need to offer something that solves an immediate pressing need for your audience, but also something that sets them up for considering the next logical offer that you have. And I hate to use that word, set them up, but usually it just means that whatever you offer to them at first must be so good that then you are favorably positioned in their mind for whatever their next logical problem is. So your original offer has to solve a pressing problem, but it also has to make them very much aware of the opportunity to solve another pressing problem that they may not realize that they have, or they already knew that they have, but they can now turn their attention to because they have now solved their original problem using that thing that you would have offered to them. So when you're thinking about the things that you want to offer to build up your audience and then be able to sell to them over time, it's almost like a ladder. All right, think of it like a ladder. At the top of that ladder is your core offer, all right, core services that you offer to your clients. But at the bottom of that ladder, all the way up, you can offer several offers that progressively positions you favorably for the next offer and the next offer until people get to that core offer. Now, I'm not saying that you have to have a million offers in your marketing stack. You can just as simply start off with one offer and then have one core offer in your marketing funnel. All I'm saying is that first offer that you make to your audience to build up your email list or to build up your contact list or even just to get them into your sphere, your world, it has to be able to solve a pressing problem, but also make them aware of your ability to solve the next logical problem that they want to tackle. All right, let's move on. So again, sticking with the marketing goal of trying to build up a list of contacts or build up a list of subscribers, another content marketing tactic that you can leverage for your business is finding speaking opportunities. Now, if you can find speaking opportunities where you get in front of a group of people who are within your target audience and you do a good job at delivering your speech and giving value, then you can invite those people onto your contact list or onto your subscriber list where you can continue to build that relationship and talk to them and make them offers. Now, again, if you don't have the time to seek out these opportunities on your own, I would advise you to get a VA, get an admin assistant on board who can help you search for those speaking opportunities. In my past life, doing a lot of communications work and having to plan or be a part of planning large events all the way up to about 600 people, sometimes when we had an event that we wanted to pitch to sponsors, one of the tactics that we would use is to offer them the opportunity to get a list of those attendees at the event. So a list of the attendees together with their contact information. And this would be a good pitch, a good sell to getting sponsors on board. You always want to make sure that you ask for the ability to get the list of attendees and their contact information and add those persons to your own contact list. And remember, whoever the hosts are at that event, they are vouching for you. So you borrow credibility from the event host. And again, this makes it much easier for you to be able to add these attendees to your list and then be able to continue to market to them over time. Now, if you're a service provider whose goal is to sell, you don't necessarily have an audience built, you don't have a contact or subscriber list built, but you know right now that your number one priority is to sell, then I would advise you to run ads, okay? Now, there are different ad strategies that you can employ. The first ad strategy that you can use is to promote a direct offer for whatever it is you're selling. And actually, with the clients that I work with, who need to actually test out the validity of their offers and the strength of their marketing messaging, I often encourage them to run direct offer ads, all right? And it's as simple really as figuring out how you want to position your offer. And there are many different ways in which you can position your offer depending on the level of competition that you have and also depending on the niche that you're in. But I can give you 4 ways that you can look at. You can position your offer as the best solution for a specific target audience, meaning that whatever offer that you have, it is best suited for one particular target audience. Or you can position your offer based on the key benefits that people get when they consume that offer. So maybe you have 3 or 4 very important benefits that you know your audience appreciates. Then you take the time to emphasize that in your direct offer, because essentially what that amounts to is you communicating your value proposition. You can also choose to position your offer based on a specific problem or need that you meet. Okay, so you know that this need or this problem is very acute for your audience. Well, then you want to talk about exactly how your offer, how your solution solves that particular problem better than the competition. And finally, you can position your offer based on something unique that you do that nobody else does. Okay, so if you know that everybody else in your field does it this way, but you do it this way, and by doing it that particular way, you help your clients avoid a particular frustration or pet peeve that they have that they want to work around, then I would advise you to emphasize that in communicating the value of your offer. And now the second ad strategy that you can pursue if your goal is to sell right away is to offer something that's low ticket. All right, so it's at a negligible cost that if your audience sees it, it's a no-brainer to get it. But here's the thing, this low ticket offer must solve an immediate pressing problem for your audience. Now, when they get that low ticket offer, what you can then do is offer them an upsell. All right, so that way you actually get them to whatever that core offer is that you're actually trying to promote. All right, so think offer as an entry point offer that gets this audience into your world, and while they are there, you then offer them an upsell, which is actually your core offer. Now, there are 2 very important things that you want to keep in mind if you are using this strategy. If you say that your low ticket offer solves a specific problem, you should not then be trying to upsell them on another offer that they need to have to solve that very same problem. Okay? It doesn't work like that. You lose all credibility when you do that. And the second thing you want to keep in mind if you're using this strategy is that as a service provider, you always want to give people the opportunity to see and feel what it's like to work with you. So as far as possible, try to make your low ticket offer something that allows that buyer to be able to interact with you, all right, in a way that helps them to understand what it's going to be like to work with you should they choose to take up that option later on. All right, and the third and final ad strategy that you can pursue if you want to sell is not a direct way to sell. It involves certain steps, but it's absolutely something that you can try for your business if your ad budget is very low. And that is offering a lead magnet via an ad, which people then have to take up in your direct messages. Now, when those leads come into your direct messages, then you open up a conversation with them, a strategic conversation that helps you to understand more about the needs that they have. And then as you understand more about those needs, you then pitch to them a solution that you have that can meet those needs. Now, yes, there are people when you offer a lead magnet are only interested in getting a freebie, all right? There are freebie collectors. We know that they exist out there. But there are also people who are actually looking for the right type of help. And if the right type of help comes across their way, they are going to take it up. And the only way you'll know who those people are is if you ask a question. Closed mouths don't get fed. And even in the Bible, the Lord encourages us to ask so that we receive. Now, if the good Lord can encourage us to ask, the good Lord who knows everything and knows our needs before we even ask, He encourages us to ask. Well, then, how much more should we be asking prospects if they need our help? And in this case, you are not cold pitching them. You're not cold DMing them. They are already in your world. They have already put up their hand asking for that lead magnet that you've offered to them. And you know what's interesting? Most times when people ask for a lead magnet that you have, usually that lead magnet doesn't solve the critical problem or doesn't meet the critical need that they have. So imagine if you can ask those questions to find out what their core need really is, to help them bring clarity around that. And then offer them a solution, usually your core offer, that helps them solve that need. There are going to be people who are absolutely willing to take that up And so you should not let those opportunities pass you by. Now, I've given you a lot of examples of content marketing tactics you can pursue depending on whatever your goals are, your resources are, and then keeping in mind those content marketing best practices. But I also want to make sure that you understand that content marketing tactics need to reside inside a proper content marketing strategy. And if you want to know more about what's involved in building a content marketing strategy, then I invite you to check out this video right here.